flying high. Downtown Bentonville is all the rage in recreational flying. We'll hit the skies and tell you why.
Painting history. 25 years ago, a man climbed the famed downtown Bentonville water tower for one simple job.
Well, what kind of collateral have you got you can put up? I said, well, I've got a 51 GMC pickup and a bicycle. He said, oh, hell, just go do it.
And generational impact. Stuart Walton is using the passion his grandfather had for Northwest Arkansas and is focused on building a brighter tomorrow.
All that and more on this episode of Downtown Now.
Welcome to Downtown Now, right here in the heart of downtown Bentonville. I'm Dana Schleikenhaft.
And I am Aaron Nolan. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to showcase exactly what makes downtown Bentonville simply the greatest little corner in the entire nation.
We're going to start with a game.
Okay, she loves playing this game. If you don't know about Dana, this is her game. She invented it, I think.
Yes. Did you know Lawrence Plaza behind you? It was named after Ernest G. Lawrence, who served as mayor from 1971 to 1974 right here in Bentonville.
Mr. Ernest, at the end of this show, I might just run through your plaza. Maybe not. Hey, another thing that makes Bentonville simply amazing is its beauty. Our Parks and Recreation team does a fantastic job of making sure our flowers, especially in the downtown square, look fantastic. It is an annual tradition, though, that the tulips are in full bloom early in spring. Let's get to some flower facts. Every fall, roughly 5,300 bulbs are planted on the square, over 10,000 across downtown Bentonville, and this just isn't digging up dirt. Our amazing Parks and Rec team uses an auger attached to a drill to make holes for each and every one of those bulbs. Now, in order to bloom in the spring, bulbs need to be in the ground during the cold winter months. Then you just wait around. Typically, you'll find the tulips in full bloom around Easter, and they remain blooming for only 2 to 4 weeks, and that's sometimes tragic because they are special.
It's the most beautiful part of being in downtown Bentonville. It's that little sliver of time in the spring.
Man, it's great.
All right, so from beauty in the ground to innovation up in the skies.
All right.
Take a look. Zipline launched in 2016 to deliver essential health items like blood, vaccines, and medicines to underserved communities in Africa. But today, Zipline has operations in the United States right down the street from us here in Pea Ridge. It's part of a pilot program with Walmart, and we went to the Nest to check it out.
Just minutes away from downtown Bentonville, in a town steeped in history, you'll see a glimpse of the future. Maybe you've noticed the zipline platform dubbed the Nest, built in the summer of 2021 as part of a partnership with Walmart. Over the last several months, Zipline has been launching and landing orders straight to the homes of nearby Pea Ridge residents.
We have probably about 500 or so flights, not just customer orders, but a lot of training and practicing for our own good.
What you'll see and hear on any given day from the Nest is a process-driven launch utilizing cutting-edge technology. It looks and sounds like this.
Launching Zipline 962 in 3, 2, 1!
The process ends with a delivery that looks like this, as Zipline drones seamlessly move select products through the skies and into the hands of customers. But what happens before the delivery, before the launch, is a fusion of precision and cutting-edge technology that reminds us that the future really is right here, in our backyard. We asked Zipline remote pilot in command and flight operator Annie to show us how it works from online order to touchdown.
So we have an app that Zipline has built, and it works through Walmart. So they'll actually place the order on Zipline. It's going to come through our systems here, and we'll start packaging it up.
From here, Annie and the Zipline team conduct an array of technical and visual safety checks. It's an impressive operation, both efficient and thorough. It all leads to the drone launch into the skies of Pea Ridge, delivery, and return to the nest.
Now the question I know you're asking, and you're probably asking as well, is when does drone delivery come to downtown Bentonville?
Yeah, when?
Well, we're told the FAA is working with Zipline and Walmart to chart a path forward. It's coming.
That's good. In other words, it will be here before sometime in some future.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, let's stick to the skies, and this time we're going to a club that is making aviation accessible to everybody, especially here in Bentonville. Brooke Beerhouse grabbed a camera and explored the skies with Oz One Flying Club director Jordan Hott.
At Downtown Bentonville Inc., we love sharing stories on Bentonville and beyond. Well, today we're getting a new view of Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas. We're getting a view from the sky. We're going to go with the director of Oz One Flying Club, Jordan Hott, and she's right behind me. We're about to get into that plane right there, learn a little bit more about Jordan, and get up in the sky.
I've been around aviation my whole life. My dad was a pilot when I was a little girl, and airports, just being an airport rat, anything to be able to be at an airport. So flying was always my favorite thing. As long as I can remember, my first memories are on airfields. So I was really lucky that I had that introduction, but I didn't have anyone in my life who encouraged me to fly. And in fact, I didn't know a single female pilot at that time. And then I was about 30 years old, and I was on a Twin Otter flying around islands in the Caribbean. And it just so happened the pilot was a woman. And we struck up this conversation, and she could see how passionate I was about it and how much I loved it. And right before we got on the airplane, she looked me in the eyes and she said, "You need to be a pilot." And it was the first time in my whole life that I thought, I could be a pilot. So I came back and I started flight lessons. We opened in October of 2018. At that time, I was a server with the club. I was a flight student, and so Oz One approached me about helping open the club. And we opened in October 2018. We had a handful of members at that time, and now we're up to about 320 members.
What?
Yep.
Wow. So how does one become a member?
That depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a social membership, just to be around pilots, even if you're not a pilot, we have a social membership. For our flying members, it's a little bit more complicated. We do have a fleet of 7 aircraft. So if you're looking for something to fly, we do a logbook review. We talk through qualifications and credentials and how we go about getting you checked out in the aircraft. And then we start that process. Oz One Flying Club exists specifically to make aviation accessible in Northwest Arkansas. We have an amazing flight school here, and they make it easy to get started and start flying. But the issue that a lot of people face when they finish and they get their private pilot certificate, what do they fly at that point? So the club exists to meet that need. We're here to give you high quality, absolute highest quality, best maintenance with the least stress possible. You know, we take care of pulling the airplane out for you and keeping it clean and keeping it in good condition. And that is real accessibility. I can say that as an aircraft owner. There's a lot to be said for having somebody else take care of all that, especially, and there's so many barriers to entry. We have a lot of young pilots, which is really unusual. We have so many young professionals here in Northwest Arkansas, and they're flocking to aviation. So we're happy to give them a home. And we have a disproportionately high number of female students compared to the rest of the industry. Same thing in the club, I think. So yeah, we skew younger than the average for sure. So We're extremely family friendly here. That's the point. That's why you don't see any fences around us. We've worked really hard to make this an airport that's totally accessible to the community. You know, I think people are shocked when they come to Northwest Arkansas. I'm from here, so I'm an advocate for sure. I've been all over the world and I choose to live here because it is exceptional. But from the air, Northwest Arkansas is truly beautiful. Earlier today, actually, all morning I've been flying because we have a friend in town from Germany, and we've been flying him all over the Ozarks, and he's just astounded, you know, constantly. Oh, it's so beautiful. And you go a few miles and the landscape changes completely. I think it's unmatched, unparalleled, and it's different, you know, than what you'll see elsewhere, but it's worth coming into town to see. And if you live here, you have to see it from that perspective at least once in your life. If you're just looking to see the Ozarks from a bird's eye view, you can come here to Thaden Field and get something we call a scenic flight. And so that's a little 30-minute flight and we'll buzz you around the Ozarks. So right over downtown Bentonville, you'll see Crystal Bridges from the air, which is really gorgeous, to a really beautiful grass airstrip called Trigger Gap. We've worked with a lot of partners. The Recreational Aviation Foundation worked with them to make that happen. Nature Conservancy actually owns that land, and it's one of the first times they've partnered to turn one into an airfield.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have that right here in our backyard.
So what do you think about when you're in the air? Other than like not crashing, right? What do you think about?
You know, that's one of the beautiful things about flying, is that you get so caught up in the flow of it that you stop thinking. When it's really good, you don't as a person exist. You know, your ego or personality or whatever just ceases to be, and you're just fulfilling the tasks in front of you. And there's a real sense of satisfaction in there, like a freedom and a joy, a release of having to think about, you know, the day-to-day stuff in life, and just being totally absorbed in that task.
And if you want to learn more from Jordan and the entire team at Oz One Flying Club, visit OZ1Club.com or head to Oz1, the number one,
Yep.
Flying Club on Facebook.
I love going to Facebook to find all the great things here in downtown Bentonville. You know, Dana's favorite game is Did You Know? We told you about that earlier in the show. Did you know that in 1976, a soon-to-be mayor, Steve Marquis, did something that we still admire each and every day?
Sure do.
When we look up in the sky, we see something about the Bentonville Water Tower. Check this out.
Inside a growing and thriving city, it's normal to see construction, traffic, and plenty of change. But in Bentonville, Arkansas, there's at least one constant. A beacon high in the sky, one that nearly 50 years ago was in need of a refresh. In fact, there's the water tower from back in 1975, but let me prove my point further. Let's flip the pages of the Benton County Democrat from August 20th of 75.
My design was chosen. I was the only bidder.
What'd you bid?
$600. I made up that number.
Say hello to Bentonville native Steve Marquis. Steve had an idea. He put it on paper and topped 55 other submissions to win the chance to update this icon.
Well, what kind of collateral have you got you could put up? So, well, I've got a 51 GMC pickup and a bicycle. He said, oh hell, just go do it.
Now the job was his. His first move, head to a local hardware store on the square.
I ordered 4 gallons of blue paint and 2 gallons of red paint.
Armed with 6 gallons of paint and a 6-foot stepladder, Marquis was ready to climb and start changing history, one painted letter at a time.
I went up there every other day. I went up 8 days, every other day, so it took 2 weeks. And I would take, you know, lunch and a book to read while I took a break or whatever.
Would you stay up there?
Stayed up all day. It was interesting being up there. You weren't really in communication with anybody. Yeah. Every once in a while a car would honk or something.
50 years ago, a man destined to be mayor made his mark for the city he loved. And he did all of this without even knowing. The time he spent painting with a bird's eye view would leave a lasting impact still felt today.
I'd say if you haven't got anything to do, there's always something you can do. You can get involved in all kinds of things, meet all kinds of people, even though you haven't got anything much to do.
All right, what makes this story even more special, at least in my mind, Mayor Marquez did this before he got that mayor title. He wasn't elected mayor for several months after he climbed up top and started painting.
Just did it as an involved citizen.
Exactly. He was very much vested before he was actually a public servant.
Yes. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about someone else that's pretty invested in Bentonville. We'll talk to Stuart Walton about growing up right here in this city. Welcome back. Several months ago, we sat down on the Bentonville Square with the grandson of Walmart founder Sam Walton. It's a conversation that we believe will give you an authentic look into someone who lives, invests, works, cycles, and flies right here in Bentonville. Simply put, this is his home. Here's part one of our conversation with Stuart Walton.
We're, I would say, old acquaintances. We went to high school
Friends.
together.
Let's go with friends.
We'll go with friends. Okay. We went to high school together, so full disclosure, class of '99 here in Bentonville.
Yep.
And I remember you as a very typical Bentonville kid. This is home. Mm-hmm. And I see you now as a community leader, an investor, someone that's into cycling, aviation. I wanted to say you fly over my house sometimes. It's very low. But we do spot you up there
Okay.
from time to time.
I can avoid it if you point it out to me.
We'll just wave at
Okay.
you. But I want to talk about growing up in Bentonville.
Yeah.
We're here on the Bentonville Square.
Yes, we are.
I remember very distinctly your mom working at the corner bookstore.
Yes.
I can
Right over
see-
here and right over there.
Yep. Your dad at Arvest. So
Yes.
this is home and very familiar to you. Let's just talk about experiences living in Bentonville, growing up in Bentonville.
Going way, way back, you know, my dad was always very enthusiastic about the town square, about the businesses that happen around the town square, bringing us up here. There used to be a restaurant over here that we'd go eat at on Saturday mornings, and they had a pinball machine in the back and a Pac-Man, and you know, sometimes we got to play and sometimes we didn't. But I remember coming up to the square from my earliest days. We lived within walking distance. My parents still lived there, and it was just kind of the center of the town. And growing up here, you know, I think at one point I'd been to every single school in the Bentonville School District.
Which weren't that many compared to these days.
Yeah, no, far fewer than what we have today. But I was kind of growing up as Bentonville was really starting to kind of accelerate in its growth. I think when we graduated, we had about, 13,000 people in town. A couple of stoplights, not that many, far fewer again. Stoplights and schools have proliferated here in Bentonville, along with a lot of other things.
Restaurants,
Restaurants,
retail.
yes. But no, I think growing up in Bentonville, it's kind of this really interesting intersection of Midwest meets South, of small versus worldly, of outdoor opportunity, but a sort of relatively intimate landscape. And just kind of nestled up here in what's historically been a very poor part of Arkansas. But over the last several decades, with some of the success of the companies here and the University of Arkansas also, I think, fueling some growth, the region has become more and more prosperous. And, you know, one of the things that I've found throughout work is that as you find things that, you know, work for you, as you find things that are being successful, you've got to double click on that, you've got to double down on that, and that can lead to further success. And that further success all of a sudden opens up a whole different realm of opportunities for you. And so when I think about Bentonville from like my earliest memories here, at My Friends and Me preschool over there with Mike Abb and Tanner Bedwell and all those characters.
I know them well, yes. Hey Mike, hey Tanner.
Yeah. So my earliest days to where Bentonville is now, Bentonville has continued to actually do what works, hopefully stop doing what doesn't work, And as we've become more successful, we've seen opportunity open up. And you could kind of take that example and drill into any of the areas that Bentonville's seen some of this exponential growth, and that same idea applies, where you never know what you're going to see in 5 years' time, but if you keep building towards it, if you keep working towards it, and then when you get there, what you do see will be far different than what you saw, 5 years ago.
And we'll have much more of that conversation with Stuart coming up in future episodes. And coming up after this break, we started the show with colorful flowers. We're going to end the show with the story of Summer Always Blooms. That's next.
Downtown Bentonville is littered. I did it on purpose because we litter downtown Bentonville with good things. Littered with art everywhere you look. Whether it's on Main Street, on Central Ave, it's in alleys, it doesn't matter. It's beautiful downtown, and you've got to look at something that's really remarkable.
Super Instagram worthy as well.
Absolutely.
This big, blooming, beautiful mural that you're about to see here is called Summer Always Blooms, and it was created in 2021 by internationally renowned artist Louise Joan. She's known professionally, Aaron, as Wheezy. Did you know that?
Wheezy, I did not know that.
Wheezy was born and raised in Santa Monica to Shanghainese parents. She's best known for her large-scale floral mural installations, which can be seen in public spaces throughout the country, from museums to public parks. Her beautiful imagery is directly inspired by classical Chinese watercolor paintings and Japanese woodblock printing. Wheezy currently lives in Detroit. You can learn more about her public art at Wheezy.com, and Summer Always Blooms was curated by women-led global curator group Just Kids and commissioned by our friends at Oz Art NWA.
It's absolutely beautiful in downtown Bentonville. I love being able to bring my kids downtown and show them not only they can have good ice cream at the Spark Cafe, they can see amazing art as well.
Colorful. It just makes the downtown vibrant and beautiful.
It's a vibe.
It is a vibe.
That is our show. I promise you something at the first of this episode.
No. You're going to run through the fountain?
Are you ready? You told us, did you know, about this fountain?
Yes.
I have to.
All right.
Bye.
See you later.
The sun is 93 million miles away. The least we can do is give it a warm welcome each morning.